Hi guys and welcome to the circus. So here we have another card fight for you guys. This is gonna be Sir Linon versus Sir PJ. So PJ is gonna be using his Yasuie deck with the new Shirayuki versus Linon's favorite Mordred Phantom deck with the Superior Ride engine with Phantom Blaster Dragon. So this time it's gonna be PJ's first turn, gonna be riding Takihime and drawing a card, tech checking top 7 for 8 Tenma and adding it to his hand. Now Sir Linon's gonna go for his turn, riding a Branwen, getting a quick shield, checking top 5, a draw first, and then check top 5 for a grade 3. Sadly, he didn't check anything, but maybe he has his Phantom Blaster. Oh, no. Maybe he already has his Mordred Phantom in hand, or just maybe draw into it in the next couple turns. So right here, he swings for 8 and goes for a no pass. Drive checks nothing and then goes for Sir PJ's turn. So riding grade 2, he is gonna ride a Jakutsu Girl and hitting for 9k versus 8k, getting a front and getting a bird as his damage. So that's one bird down. That bird is actually quite annoying. So rides Blaster Dark, calls a Leafall, CB1, calling a grade 1 from the deck and calling a Numain, resting Numain, calling out the grade 1. Is that a grade 1 or grade 2? I believe it's a grade 1 that retires herself to Superior Ride, so Phantom Blaster Dragon from the deck. So that's another that's the first force marker that is produced with this game. So yeah, this is gonna be another force 1 obviously onto the Vanguard. Okay, so quite interesting. He swings now for 23k. No, he calls a Masquerade and swings for 23 Twin Drive. Without auto skills, of course, checking himself a Mordred, which secures his next ride. So he guarded there for another 15k and then rides grade 3, riding a Yasuie. So Yasuie is gonna be pretty good here. But his opponent already is on a grade 3, so he is already sitting on a 13k base, which is actually kind of a bad situation for almost all Axel decks out there, especially on mine. So he calls a grade 3 Searcher and gets himself another Tenma, discards it anyway because you can just re-ride him on the drop zone. So he calls a Mudo, which actually will signal that he will set himself up for the opponent's Mordred turn. So he calls a Awazu to drop any unit from his deck and copies the name. This Awazu is actually really strong in my opinion, because it just instantly toolboxes your entire deck for anything. It copies the name. The name is the only thing that matters in this deck, simply because Yasuie just copies anything. So he calls 2 Mudos from his deck. So that is really strong, meaning at the end of his turn he has a potential +3 soul, and you know what that means: more copies of Shirayuki being procced. So yeah, he never runs out of soul with this build. So he swings now for 12k for 1 pass automatically against his Vanguard. First check a draw trigger. He just gave the power to Awazu, and then second check a Metamorphox, which will help him for next turn, I guess. So he didn't hit, he just gave the power to Awazu. So he discarded 1 Shirayuki and thinks of what other card he will discard for the cost. So he discarded the Metamorphox, then re-rides Tenma from the drop zone, gets himself another Axel and draws a card. He doesn't have Takihime and don't counter blast, so it's still fine. Swinging now for 25 since this is a 13k booster. Drive checks a grade 2 promo and nothing, and defensive for 23k. So he just intercepted there for another 5k to block the attack and another swing for 24. Everything else still hits. So right here he just swings for another 34k. So yeah, let's see if he needs to guard this or not. So will he guard it or not? That's the question. Will he take it? Will he not take it? What will be the decision here, Sir Linan? So he guarded it finally for a 15k shield and moves that card to the bottom of the deck. He moved the main, which is actually pretty strong. But since he doesn't have that much units, he only can proc 2 Mudos in total of 2 cards added to his hand, because you know he can't meet the other condition, which is gonna be like he needed 5 units on the board to proc another Mudo. Sadly he can't, but still he got +2 out of that, so still a pretty good plus. So he finally rides on to Mordred, which gets himself another force marker for to help boost up just all of his blaster darks. So he calls a masquerade and checking top 7 for a Mordred or a blaster dark, getting himself a blaster dark through that. And then what a beautiful blaster dark right there, guys. Just appreciate that. So yeah, looking at the game state, still pretty evened out. 1 CB and 1 damage for the what you call it, the Murakumo player, and 2 damage for the Mordred player, which is really impressive. So yeah, that defensive really helped him to survive. Yeah, Sir PJ didn't get himself a front earlier, so yeah, let's see. He swings now for 20k. Oh, okay, so he got another force marker on top of the other column. So he checked there, didn't check a defensive, he got himself a Shirayuki. Now swinging for 23 and restanding his blaster dark, didn't check anything from the top from the drive checks, and then checking another Tenma, which is not a defensive. This bird still hits for like 23. Yeah, it still hits for like 23, and he guarded for 32, and then swings for 30, and then gets himself a front. So he has a lot of damage now, so he can utilize it, you know, maybe use a lot of Takehime's skills or something. So he rides onto the regular Yasuie, calls that grade 2 promo that I forgot the name. You know, I forgot the name actually, so forgive me. So, yeah, so what else is happening here? He called a Takehime, now using that skill of Yasuie to Soul Blast 1 CB1, copy up to 2 units from his board. So he can potentially call out the Mudos from the drop zone. He can potentially call out Takehime, but he decided to call out the grade 2 promo that I forgot the name. So yeah, forgive me. So yeah, let's see what happens here. So he called an Awazu to drop another card from his deck, you know, to filter out, and he dropped another copy of that grade 2 promo. That grade 2 promo that it just came out of clan selection, it does a ton of work, I tell you. So yeah, this is actually the embodiment of the work that grade 2 does for this deck. So he swings now for 12k 2 drives against his Vanguard for an automatic 1 pass. So maybe he just takes it. Yeah, he takes it, goes for the twin drive, I believe. Let's see what he checks right here from the top 2 cards. Checks a draw once again, giving power to Awazu. Draw a card. Second check, nothing. A Yasuie once again, which is pretty good. So he discarded the Yasuie regardless. So yeah, he discarded, what is this card? Did he discard the grade 2 again? So he re-rides on to Tenma. So right here he calls he rides a Tenma, getting another Axel to draw a card, then using those skills of Takehime, since he re-rides onto another Yasuie, so he can call 2. He calls a Tenma, he calls a, what else will he call? He overcalled over that grade 2 Awazu and called another one of those 19k beaters that he has. So he swings now for 25k 1 drive. He takes it. So first check, nothing. Damage check, he didn't get a defensive, so that means everything still hits. Everything still hits anyway. So he swings now for 27 against his Vanguard. Will he commit his intercept or not? So it's either that intercept is gonna be gone or Blaster Dark is gonna be gone because of this Stanuma skill. So right here he intercepted twice. All right, So he just put back the other grade 1 from the back row to the bottom of the deck. So he swings now for 24k because it got the draw trigger from earlier. So right here, everything still hits. This is gonna hits for 24. Now a defensive, but still hits. So it's either commit more hand or take a damage, boy. He takes another damage and get no defensive. He swings under 24. He guards again. He guards it. Gets tricks for 20, 19, 27. So he guarded for 28, 38, and then passes the turn because this Mudo cannot hit anymore. So I think that was a misplay. He should have swinged with the 20k first. I think that was a little bit of an oopsie, but you know, regardless, it's still fine. So he re-rides Mordred, getting an Force 1. Force 1 calls a Abyssal Owl, Soul Blast 1 and draw a card, you know, to just remove the Blast of Darks from the soul, calling it, recycling it from the drop. So now he uses that skill of his main to rest him and call the grade 2 and fetch himself another Blaster Dark for it by retiring that grade 2 for and another Soul Blast. So he got himself, I think he has all of his Blaster Darks at the moment, but most of them are in the drop zone, but he can still fetch them, I believe, if he got the pieces to do it. So he calls Blaster Dark, getting that another force marker onto the other side. That's 3 force markers. What will he call on that circle? That was the question that I have here. So what unit will he call? He calls a Danger Lunge. So that Danger Lunge is gonna be flicking huge with an extra crit and a Guardian's Check. So he took the damage there, didn't get a defensive, so he swings now for 28, 33. No, 28. So he restands the Blaster Dark. He drops a PG. So right here, first check, the main, second check, another Masquerade grade 1. So now he swings up for 30k. So it's 30k, and Danger Lunge is big. It's so flicking big. He can't sentinel that, so he needs to hard guard it. So he dropped another PG for that, and that's gonna be 30k. And no, it's gonna be 10, 20, 30, 43, 53, 2 crits, no PG. So he used a Shirayuki to minus 30k that unit because it's not a PG. So instantly he's gonna be dropping to 33. Now Sir PG just guarded for another 20, which puts him at 32, which is just enough, right? So 53, 23, yeah, it's just enough to guard himself from that onslaught. We're just recalculating here and then seeing what happens. No, the exact amount that is guarded here. It's basically a 50k shield, so it's enough. So it's gonna be 62, or regardless, it's gonna be nice. It's not gonna hit. So yeah, so right here is gonna be the final turn for the Yasuie player. Rides onto Yasuie once again. He consistently rides onto his grade 3 here. It's so cool. So he calls his entire hand. He calls 2 grade 3 searches and checks top 5. Will he fetch? No, he didn't fetch. So he only fetched once. That was kind of weird for him because he called 2. So right here he just calls, uses that skill of Yasuie to filter his deck a lot. So right here he called another one of those grade 2 promos. That's so flicking good. So he overcalled that what you call it, the Mudo, because everything still hits. So he overcalled again and called an Awazu, and then using that skill of Awazu to drop yet again another normal unit from his deck. So right here, his deck is actually so filtered that the only thing left is 1 normal unit. Like here, look at this. So one Metamorphox is left on his deck. So everything is a trigger. With his 3 drive checks, he can secure himself 2 triggers instantly. So he needs to guard this with even more. He needs to commit more hand cards here, or else he will lose. He will face 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus potential another attack. So 9 attacks overall because he will re-ride. So what is his decision here? Will he be able to guard everything? Can he do it? can Sir Linon guard against Sir PJ's onslaught this turn? Because if he can probably just win. So I guess he just didn't guard. He gets a front and a heal at the same time. So he gave the power to that other grade 2 and checking for a potential heal. Last check, a draw trigger. So that's gonna be game number 1. No, it's not gonna be game number 1. This is the only game. But that was so flicking cool. And if he didn't check, if he checked the draw triggers remaining in his deck, he would have actually lost. So yeah, that was amazing.